Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. How you guys doing? Hope you guys have had some good holidays, Christmas. If you celebrate it or you don't celebrate it, I hope you are well and have received some gifts, maybe some of them interrelated like I did, receiving this personalized Uncle Sharma mug. Anyway, today I'm talking about the 7 things we've learned about Simone Inzaghi's Inter. It's a similar video to what I've done in the past. In one of the international breaks at the beginning of the season, I made 5 things we learned about Inzaghi's Inter. Of course, now we've got a little bit more time since then to get to watch Limone ball, and now there's a few more things I wanted to talk about. 6 of them are positive points, and one of them is more of a constructive criticism for, improving in Limone ball even more. First thing I want to talk about, and this is a shout out to, of course, the deadly duo, the amazing duo, Marotta and Ausilio, the work that they did in the summer, and that is with the signings that came in to replace the departing Eriksen, Hakimi, Lukaku, Conte, of course, with Inzaghi. But the 4 signings that came in to replace the departures, Dzeko, Hakan, Correa, Dumfries, all 4 of them for now have worked out. All 4 of them have contributed to Inter being first in the league and progressing through the round of 16 in the Champions League, and none of them for now can be called a flop, especially in the case of the first guy we're going to look at, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. My guy, this guy is, as I've always said since we signed this guy, I was never a fan of the player when he was at Milan. He's a player that I probably made quite a lot of jokes and memes about when he was at Milan. But as soon as he came at Inter, I protected the guy when he had this shaky beginning. I protected the guy against a lot of criticism, and he's gone way above my expectations because this guy is one of the front runners right now to be MVP, not just for Inter but for the Serie A. And remind me, how much did we spend for this guy? I can't actually remember. Stats wise, the guy is already putting up numbers: 6 goals and 8 assists. 6 goals and 8 assists, guys, and he's currently tied with Barella in the league in terms of most goal creating actions, which is 12, and he's already outdone what Eriksen was able to do in terms of goal contributions. And I know football is not all about goal contributions and stats and things like that, but Hakan's also added to those things that Eriksen was doing as well, in terms of being able to put in tackles, being able to be tactically aware. The guy has become a complete midfielder in the last couple of months, ever since especially that derby goal, that penalty goal against AC Milan really turned his season around after he celebrated in front of his old fans. And this guy is really becoming a true complete midfielder. Also doing that work that Eriksen was asked to do under Conte, being that second reducer, coming deep at times when Brozovic is marked or the defenders are marked, and helping to alleviate pressure and play the ball out from the back. And he ranks second in the team in terms of switches of play. His technical ability really allows Inter to open up to new possibilities and create openings from deeper positions as well. And he can still improve, especially as we know from open play. A lot of his assists have come from set pieces. He can still improve on his contribution from open play, but for now, this is way beyond my expectations, what he's done until now. But the big question with Hakan has always been, can he be consistent? And we'll see in the second half of the season, can he be consistent? And what do you guys think? Is Hakan going to keep the consistency? Let me know. Now, of course, the second guy we got to talk about, Edin Dzeko. Some people were calling this guy dusted. Some people say he was finished. And I said this is my original 5 things we learned about Inzaghi's Inter. This guy is not dusted. 11 goals and 5 assists. He's come in and again above my expectations. Didn't expect him to have such a high scoring rate until now. He's added another dimension to his play in terms of 60% of his aerials that he wins, 4.35 per match, and the technical ability is also brought to the table now, being able to bring other players into play, already with 5 assists as we mentioned. Edin Dzeko is a added bonus to this team, and once again a free transfer. Moving on to Denzel Dumfries, a guy who probably struggled more than the previous 2 guys I mentioned, of course, and this was expected coming from the Dutch league, playing in a different system, a PSV in the 4 at the back formation, having to adapt to becoming a wing back. It took him a little time, and then after Darmian's injury, he took the chance with both hands and he seized it over the last month. He's contributed with goals and assists, but overall just showing that he's really getting adapted to the team, to the league. Defensively, he's looking a lot more solid, and going forward now he's adding goals and assists at a higher rate, and I'm expecting more and more improvement from Denzel Dumfries, and maybe becoming the starting right wing back. Even when Darmian comes back in the second half of the season, we'll see how things progress. But shouts out to Denzel, man. And finally, talking about Tucu Correa. This is the guy that's probably most debatable in terms of how you feel like he has performed until now. Looking at straight up statistics, at the moment he's sitting on 4 goals and 1 assist. But you also have to think about in terms of goals per 90, he's on 0.71, which is pretty good. That's again a higher scoring rate than I expected. However, there's really a lot of room for improvement in Tucu Correa's play, and it looked like just before his injury against Roma, he was really getting integrated into the team. And even Inzaghi mentioned that in his interview the other day, that he felt Tucu was really hitting top form when he got injured against Roma. So it's a shame. And again, this is one of the issues we talked about when we signed Correa, the injury proneness that he has. So we just have to hope in the second half of the season he stays much more healthy and he's able to contribute more in terms of goals and assists. But up until now, personally speaking, I'm happy with what Correa has shown until now. When he's played, he's been able to be that glue between midfield and attack and be able to link up the midfield and the attack quite well. And he's one of the few players in this team that's able to dribble past players and create chances out of nothing, which is still really important, because really and truly only him and Sanchez can do that. And of course the big price tag, he's the biggest, summer signing, so there's a heavier expectation on his shoulders, which is not his fault. He doesn't decide the 31 million price tag, but at the end of the day, Inter, in this financial position that we are in now, is going to be looked at much more under the microscope what he does compared to the other free transfers, or Denzel Dumfries being 14 million, an absolute bargain. Second point I want to talk about, and I mentioned this in my last things we learned about Inter video, was I want to give praise to people that, I think sometimes I forgot, and this is the backroom staff of Simone Inzaghi, especially the physical trainers, which is led by Fabio Ripert, who was the new fitness trainer coming in from Lazio with Inzaghi. Big shoes to fill, as we know, from replacing Antonio Pintus, who's considered to be the best in the game when it comes to fitness trainers. But he's done a stellar job since he's come in. As we said, Inter are ranking really well in terms of the kilometers covered, how the team looks physically. Since the beginning of the season, the team is running and looking fit, but also at the same time, one of the key jobs for them is the injury prevention. And of course, there's cases like Tucu Correa, Stefano Sensi, cases that there's not much these guys can do about, because they're just injury prone players. These muscular injuries that they get on a regular basis, it seems to be just as part of who they are as athletes. However, with the amount of games Inter have had, the amount of, Inzaghi's really not rotated the squad too heavily, and their job is to alert Inzaghi when they feel like players should be rested or when they feel like players are at risk of injuries. And up until now, Inter, compared to the other top teams, have not been hit by injuries, and that is due to good work going on in the background. So I feel like Fabio Ripert and his team deserve a shout out. The third point I want to talk about is Simone Inzaghi, and more about the tactical ideas that he's brought to the table, in terms of he had an amazing foundation given to him by Conte. Conte solidified the defending, the balance of the team, some of the patterns that we know Conte loves to implement. Those are all there, in a winning mentality, of course. And Inzaghi has come in, and it seems like up until now he's even managed to elevate that to the next level. He's introduced some of his own ideas. We've seen the kind of marauding, invading centre-back tactic that we've seen in some matches, where we see the left centre-back or the right centre-back, whether that's D'Ambrosio or Aussie football, because the rotation doesn't mean that the centre-backs are going up and leaving spaces. It means that when other players see a centre-back going up, they take up that position as well. And in general, his style of management has been different from Conte. We've heard the players talk about how he's more of a teammate or a big brother to the team, whereas with Conte we know he was a bit more of a sergeant, so to say, to the team. So this is a different approach, where at the moment is having really good results, and the underlying statistics also are all in favor of Inter. We currently are ranked first in the league in terms of shots on target, and the second closest is really far away from Inter. Inter average 6.7 shots on target per match, and the second closest is Napoli at 5.2. so that's a massive gap. Inter also rank first for best goal difference in the league as well, 34. And again, Napoli are the closest, but they're not very close at all. And you know, the streak that Inter have been on recently defensively, super solid. 6 wins in a row with a clean sheet, which is a club record, never done before, which shows that Inzaghi has been able to implement not only attacking ideas but also solid defensive ideas. So shouts out to Limone. Point number 4, Brozovic and Perisic, the 2 Croatian brothers who've been at Inter for a long time, some of the longest serving players at Inter, and they're having, in my opinion, and I think you guys will agree, their best season at Inter up until now in terms of consistency, their level. Even though the stats might not show it, especially in the case of Brozovic, he's only on 1 goal and 1 assist this season, usually contributes a little bit more than that, but that does not matter, because when you watch Inter every single match, you see the importance of Brozovic and his consistency this year. Perisic, his importance, his leadership on the pitch, on and off the pitch, is showing through. And Perisic, even defensively, he's ranking really high in terms of tackles made, shots blocked, interceptions made. He's really putting up great defensive numbers, and it shows that he's really truly adapted to this new wing back role. And again, shout out to them too, of course, but also Inzaghi for being able to elevate players that we thought have reached their peak to an even higher level. And hopefully both of them sign a new contract. Point number 5, still the best defense in Italy. I know that Inter are not currently ranked as the best defense in Italy because Napoli have conceded slightly less goals than Inter, but I am certain that by the end of the season, Inter will finish as the best defense in Italy. Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, untouchable. They all had their own dips and high points in the season. De Vrij has probably had one of his kind of less consistent seasons since he's come to Inter, and Bastoni had a shaky beginning, but ever since the last 2 or 3 months he's been amazing, back to his old levels, if not even better. Skriniar has probably been the most consistent out of the 3, and you don't need to speak about Skriniar, the best defender in the Serie A. But even the guys coming in for them, D'Ambrosio, Ranocchia, Di Marco, whenever they've had to step in, they've all been really good and solid. After the initial settling period where we were conceding, leaking a little bit too many goals, the team found the right balance, and now once again Handanovic has hardly has to face any shots, and that's why he's ranking first in terms of save percentage, just because he doesn't have to actually make that many saves in a match, because these guys minimize the amount of shots he has to face. That's how good this defense is. Point number 6, and this is another one that we predicted at the beginning of the season before we started, and it's become true, but even at a higher rate than I expected. We dominate in the air, absolute domination. 12 headed goals, which is number 1 in the league, and the second best is on 8 goals. And corners, free kicks, indirect free kicks have almost become like penalties these days, with Hakan coming in and also Di Marco with his left foot. And then if those two are not there, even Brozovic is a decent set piece taker. Teams are shaking in their boots as soon as Inter have a corner or a dangerous set piece in a dangerous area. And then it was elevated even more by the arrival of someone like Edin Dzeko with his height and his presence in the air. Of course, our defenders have always been really good in the air, and I'm really interested to see what this 12 goals at the minute will turn into by the end of the season, because we've probably even missed some chances that we should have scored in some corners that I'm sure Skriniar and De Vrij and Bastoni probably shooting themselves in the foot for missing. And this leads me to the final point, which, as I said, is more of a constructive criticism rather than a negative point, but it's the lack of killer instinct in this team, especially when it comes to some of the bigger matches, especially in the Champions League. It was an issue under Conte, and it remains to be an issue under Inzaghi. In the league, especially, top scorers in the league, 49 goals. However, according to FOTMob stats, we've missed the most big chances in the league, which is 34. And Dzeko and Lautaro individually have missed the most, in terms of Lautaro's missed 10 big chances and 5 for Dzeko, according to the stats. And at the same time, that just shows you the potential of this team to even step up to the next level if we start to convert these big chances that we are creating. And Inter are sitting at 49 goals at the moment, a halfway point. Can this Inter team actually get over 100 goals just in the league this season? I could see that happening by the end of the season. But yeah, guys, those were my 7 things we learned about Limone Inzaghi's Inter up until now at this halfway point. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. Is there any other points that you guys want to add to what I said? Is there any points you disagree with? Or is there any points that you want to add on to? And as always, guys, make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate your support over the last year or so. 2021 has been a great year for my channel, but I want to keep growing it. I want to keep having your support, and of course I want to keep supporting Inter, and I want to get that second star on our chest, which I think we'll get by the end of the season. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and Forza Inter always. Ciao.